I feel extremely honored and proud to be part of this great event. And I congratulate Dr. Jyoti Dev and the team for this excellent meeting that we are having. And as we know, there are three pillars for the treatment of diabetes. One is the drug therapy, including insulin. The second is exercise. And the third is medical nutrition therapy. And as we all know, the drug therapy and exercise varies from time to time, person to person. We'll have to modify it. But the cornerstone of this is medical nutrition therapy. And to enlighten us on this, we have the most illustrious and well-known diabetologist from Mumbai, Padma Shri, Dr. Professor Shashank R. Joshi. He has many feathers in his cap. He is the president of the Association of Physicians of India and also the president-elect of Endocrine Society of India. Over to Dr. Shashank.
So thank you very much. Again, I would like to thank our chairperson for her kind words and the whole team of Team Jyoti Dev. I think Team Jyoti Dev is now really very progressive. I told him in that oration, and I'm telling everybody here, I hope that he next time keeps, there is no space to sit here. I can see Arun standing there at the back. He's so active on Facebook, you know. Before I even know, and I can see my phone, I'm sure he must have uploaded me on the Facebook. Okay. Now, one of the cornerstones of diabetes therapy today is nutrition. And managing diabetes through nutrition therapy has been there from time immemorial. And is there a need really to have nutrition therapy? Because we know that carbohydrate is the main driver of insulin secretion in postprandial hyperglycemia. We are all in postprandial time. They have kept the lights on deliberately here. Dr. Jyoti Dev is very conscious of that, so that you all don't fall asleep. Because if your glucose goes up and if you feel sleepy in my talk, you should get your sugar tested because probably you have diabetes. Okay, so the amount and the type of carbohydrate is important. And patients with diabetes consume around 65% of carbohydrates in their diet, and which is higher than the recommended levels. And we have the GL, GI, and therefore carbohydrate affects postprandial hyperglycemia to some extent. Now we know that every 1% drop of A1C reduces complications, and very, very clear data to show that. And lifestyle intervention is critical for long-term success. You know, it has to be structured, it has to be integrated, it has to be intensive. Individualization is the key. We need physical activity, we need education, we need counseling, and that's what you are all here doing. Okay, we need frequent participant contact, but MNT is a distinct entity. So what is this medical nutrition therapy all about? It is a therapeutic use of nutrition for purposes of disease management, because there is clear evidence to show now that if you do proper MNT in diabetes, you will prevent pre-diabetes, you will manage diagnose diabetes better, or you can even prevent and slow complications of diabetes which are already there. So if you look at, it has to incorporate every therapy in comprehensive diabetes management. A part of the ABCDE must include MNT as an integral part of diabetes management. So obviously, if you look at any definition, whether it's the ADA, the Canadian Physicians Guidelines, the American College of Endocrine Guidelines, MNT has been clearly incorporated. It must be given ideally by a qualified dietitian, because they are the best to deliver it. There is research to show that if you are a qualified dietitian and you give MNT, you will drop the A1C by 1 to 2%. And MNC clearly improves outcomes and reduces cost. This was the look ahead data. Intensive lifestyle intervention, weight loss is significant. And you can very clearly show that if you do proper MNT, if you do a proper and correct MNT, very clearly you can see you can reduce the A1C by 1 to 2% in patients with diabetes. So clear data by Carmine Kulkarni and her group, as well as Franz et al. Have very elegantly shown the drop of A1C just by doing medical. It's like a drug. It's as powerful as a drug, like a gliptin, and therefore it's important to do that. And this is the evidence, summary of all the evidence. The randomized control trials, right from UK PDS or Carmine's trial or Francis trial, or the standard protocols which are there. So clearly, whether it's expert opinion, chart audit, sectional surveys, or RCTs, or the meta-analysis, clear data is MNT works in diabetes. And therefore, MNT is the cornerstone of diabetes management. It involves individualized nutritional assessment, intervention and follow-up, assisting the patient for lifestyle management and dietary modification with or without calorie or meal replacement. It's very difficult for our patients to follow diet. I'm sure ma'am will agree, because when you counsel them, you know, whenever you tell something, they hear from one ear and forget it from the other ear. Or give that advice not for themselves but for somebody else. And therefore, when you need to do that, sometimes we have to replace meals, and that's very important. So let's look at a patient which we see every day. Mrs. Sharma, 43 years old, 78 kilograms, 165 centimeters, type 2 diabetes for the last 4 years, A1C around 8.3, blood pressure 134/88, lipids are a little high, total cholesterol 112, LDL around 118, knee pain, reduced mobility, metformin for 3 years, 500 milligram BD. What should you do? Should you add a sulfonylurea, ripaglinide, glitazone, AGI, gliptin, insulin, orlistat, or can we add a meal replacement? In this patient, Mrs. Sharma, you know, you can do an MNT. You can add an MNT, and that's the whole thing. Because there is data to show that in such an individual, if you replace the calorie with diabetes-specific nutrition preparations, you will get weight loss in overweight, obese, diabetic patients. So what is this caloric replacement all about? You know, all the weight loss clinics are all about meal replacement, okay, or calorie replacement, because you need to cut the calories, you need to cut the carbs. But if you cut the calories and carbs a little too much, it can be counterproductive at times. And therefore, you need to replace. And meal replacements have arrived. Okay, what are these caloric replacement? It is replacing a meal, partial meal or a snack. You have these diabetic specific nutrition powders, which are less than 300 calories for weight loss. They are fortified with minerals and vitamins. They have a good nutritional profile. And what are their benefits? You control the portion. You don't give a caloric load. Right now, I am sure next time Dr. Jyoti Dev will be very conscious of the food is served. Okay, and he's seeing, again, I can see him on this, technology. I call him Technology Jyoti Dev. Okay, I am sure he will be having a food supplement also in his technology, inside his mobile phone. Okay, fixed calorie amounts, reduced choices, convenient to use, and facilitate dietary adherence. So those are the benefits of caloric replacement which have been there. And caloric replacements have been used for weight loss for a long time. It is not a new concept. The first evidence base for replacing calories to lose weight came in the 80s. And now, of course, we had the 4-year results from the Look Ahead study, which very elegantly has proven beyond reasonable doubt that it works. In fact, there's a clear guideline from the AND, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which clearly says that substituting 1 or 2 meals a day or snacks with a meal replacement can be a successful weight loss or a weight management strategy. For people who have difficulty in self-selection or portion control, or as a part of diet component in a comprehensive weight management program. And the recommendation there is strong. So obviously, you can replace calories. You cannot, some people say, I can't give up the whole meal. I can't give up lunch or dinner. Then you can do partial meal replacement. But remember that replacements have arrived and they are very much there. In fact, all associations now across the world, whether it's American Heart Association, American Association of Cardiology, the Obesity Society, Canadian Association, American College of Clinical Endocrinology, Joslins, the NIH, Australian associations, all recommend meal replacements as a part of weight loss and diabetes management strategy as a standard of care. And they not only improve initial weight loss, but 4-year data from Look Ahead very clearly shows that it can be sustained over 4 years. Because the biggest challenge is, today you replace, they will follow it for 3 months, and the weight will come back, sugar will come back again after 6 months or 1 year when you stop it. So you need to be consistent. And you need long-term weight loss, and long-term weight loss is possible. It is most effective when compared with diet alone when the BMI is about 27. Because more is the BMI, the better is the impact of caloric replacement, because you are going to get weight loss and an impact on A1C. That very clearly we know this Look Ahead trial, okay, which was a large RCT. Clearly what they did is they just used in the intensive lifestyle group physical activity, but they just portion control diet. They gave liquid, calorie and meal replacements, and they were able to get an impact on diabetes and obesity in a very, very nice way. And very clearly they showed 1-year data, they showed the weight loss data, and there is more data now. This was NEGM study, where they showed if you do a meal replacement with lifestyle counseling, it can impact obesity treatment. And this data is consistent. How does it work? How does it work? If you do these glycemic formulas of diabetic specific nutrition, how do they work? Do they have a mechanism? And you can see they not only work on weight, Okay, but they work on A1C. They only given me 10 minutes. Okay, because you put this timetable for 10 minutes. So I'm okay with it. Okay, lipids go down and the blood pressure goes down. And the mechanism they see is, this is a trial, how do these meal replacements work? They work basically through GLP-1 response. Okay, so we all know these gliptins, which are tablets, which are costly, or the injections of incretins. What they did is, there was a small group which David took. He skipped breakfast in a group of individuals. Another group, they gave oatmeal. You know, oatmeal is very popular also. And another group, they gave this glycemia targeted specific nutrition or a meal replacer. And you can see here very nicely, no meal, no GLP-1 response. Oatmeal, some GLP went up, but not significantly. But when you give diabetic specific nutrition, there was a 5-fold increase in GLP-1. So if you give a MUFA rich meal, the GLP-1 goes up significantly in diabetes. You can see here very clearly that whenever you give such a supplement, the gliptin response is there. So you really don't need to add a DPP-4 inhibitor or a GLP-1. All you need to do is just a simple meal replacer, and you can manage your sugars and also get weight loss with it. Because if you replace calorie and glucose, you will get a dual formula, and that is what is glucose control. You can see if you use diabetic specific formulas, this is most useful in people who are in the hospitals, like oral supplements, tube feedings, type 1, type 2 diabetes, stress diabetes. This was a meta-analysis published by Eli et al. Long time back, clearly showing that the prandial glucose comes down, area under the curve comes down, and the glucose comes down very rapidly, and chronic complications are reduced to a great extent. And therefore, if you see here very clearly that you can clearly lower the glycemic peaks, because the glycemic variability which occurs goes down whenever you administer some of these supplements. Okay, what happens is that there is a 41% less glucose variability, and therefore there was this very nice trial done from Asia by Sun et al. From Singapore, a randomized control study, 100 patients in the treatment arm, 50 patients in the control arm, and they did diabetes, weight, complication risk and quality of life, where they used a glycemia treated specific nutrition for replacement once a day. And very clearly you can see A1C, sugar, pressure, weight, waist circumference, everything came down in a very, very significant way. So what is this diabetic specific nutrition? How beneficial are their results? What I mean by diabetic specific nutrition is these are formulas designed to lower weight, glucose, lipids, all the three, and they have a positive impact. Usually these formulas have fiber. They are slowly digested carbohydrates. They have a unique fat blend which has a lot of MUFA. They have protein in form of calcium caseinate. They have fiber in form of fibrosol and prebiotics. They have some energy, and they also have micronutrients like chromium, antioxidants, vitamins and minerals. So obviously they are all energy packs in the right way of having little bit of protein, fiber, MUFA blend, fiber and energy. So what do? We know when we take normal carbohydrate like a starch or a sucrose, the amylase or a sucrase will rapidly degrade it, and very clearly you can see there is a spike which occurs. But when you use a modified fibrosol supplement, which is like a maltodextrin, then the amylase is not able to, the glucose alpha 1, 3 or 1, 2 linkages are not hydrolyzed by the amylases. So the amylases are not able to break it down, and therefore there is no glycemic spike there. So the glucose spike which occurs after food does not occur. It's a slowly digested carbohydrate, and that is how they work. So if you really look at this caloric replacement with diabetes specific formulas, they improve glucose control. That is one. Secondly, they induce the GLP-1 secretion, and thirdly, they promote weight management. There is lot of research now to show, very elegant, that this caloric replacement can be an integral part of diabetes management program. So Dr. Mohan, myself and a couple of others with Jeffrey Mechanic from the United States, we developed a trans-cultural algorithm for nutrition therapy for Indians, because India, food cooked in every household is different. India is a very heterogeneous country. Even if you are in Kerala, for example, the food you cook is different, and even different parts of Kerala, the food might be different. Even within Thiruvananthapuram, I can assure, if I ask madam, the food cooked is different based on the ethnic group, the religious preference, social preference, socio-economic status, ability to adapt to fast food, it's going to be different. So we need to have something which is trans-culturalized and have a matrix for that. Okay? So remember that that has to be done very nicely. So most of our patients, we develop this matrix, we still have underweight patients. See, today We don't have every time obese patients. So if we have underweight patients, and if they are pre-diabetic or controlled diabetic or uncontrolled diabetics, we need to supplement to meet the desired BMI. If the BMI is between say 18 and 23, they are unable to eat a balanced diet, then replacements are recommended. But the replacements work best both in underweight and overweight patients. The overweight patients, they don't eat balanced diet. Okay? They always are doing their own thing. They need to lose weight. How do you lose weight? Don't skip meals. That's the first thing. And try to be low on calories. Try to be low on calories. And if you can't be low on calories when you see food, at least partially or totally replace the food. How do you do that? You can do it by simple MNT. Just simple MNT. What is that? Assess, counsel, modify diet, use maybe a calorie replacement or a meal replacement, and try to optimize your BMI, waist circumference and A1C. So Mrs. Sharma can very easily, all I did in this lady was added a glycemic specific, diabetic specific nutrition formula. And I just told her to do a little bit of yoga, physical activity, because she had a lot of knee pain. She could not do walk. So I told her to do Kapalbhati, which is a form of, abdominal exercise or abs, as you would call it. Told her to move her hands a little more. Okay, so that if she has knee pain, she's not going to be sedentary. She needs to burn some energy. And just replace partly her lunch, partly her dinner with a meal replacement. Partly, because they don't do totally at all. They can't give up food. People, if I tell you to change your food habits, you will not change. I am sure you must have never seen me eating food outside, because whenever they see me, they ask, what are you eating? They chose me Obesity Society president looking at my BMI. Okay, so remember, in this lady, you don't need to add any tablet. You don't need any secretagogue, glitazone, glucosidase inhibitors, DPP-4 or insulin or orlistat. All you need is a good committed dietary advice from a qualified dietitian and maybe a little bit of partial meal replacement. That's all we did. Her weight is now 68. 10 kilos she has lost over 6 months. Okay, her A1C is now to 7%. Her blood pressure is 120/80. Her lipid profile is completely normal. Her knee pain has gone. So probably she has saved herself of a knee replacement. And she's still on metformin, 500 mg twice a day. So it is practically doable. I just wanted to give you an illustrative case that if you just do MNT and believe that you can do it, okay, with lot of time spending, proper advice, partial meal replacement, maybe twice a day if required, you can actually achieve results in individualized care today, because diabetes is all about individualization. It's all about spending some quality time with your patients, counseling them, educating them and empowering them. And if you are able to do that, you really don't need all these hi-fi costly drugs. Okay, you just need some simple things which you need to do and tell them very easily. So this is my last slide. I am conscious of the time. They told me you don't have any time. Okay, or maybe I read it wrong. Or they say you can take your time. I'm sorry about that. Okay, I saw 0 there, so I got a little scared. Okay, so MNT plays a very important role in managing diabetes, and it is supported by every association worldwide, including India. Indian ICMR also recommends it. Now remember that understanding of MNT, medical nutrition therapy, is a big barrier, and we must encourage MNT. I would encourage 3 things very strongly. Try to send them to registered dietitians. If you can't send them to registered dietitians, at least spend some time with the patient. Okay, if your patient can't change the food habits and can't control portions, at least tell them that there are formulas available where you can do partial or total meal replacements. And just remember, don't just give diabetics who are obese advice only for sugar. Whenever you say that you will lose weight, they are more attracted towards the whole thing. So it's not something which you need to be very fearful about. I think MNT is the cornerstone of diabetes management, and if you are motivated, if you are committed, I think each one of us can help our patients, and we all want our diabetics to live longer, to be healthy, free from all diseases. We don't want them to go through knee replacements and joint replacements. They need to lose weight as they want to lower their glucose. They can lower their lipids, so their cardiac risk also comes down. So cardio-metabolic profile can improve very, very significantly by diet, exercise and caloric replacement. Thank you for a patient hearing.
Thank you, Professor, for that lucid presentation. I think all of us have understood that it is a teamwork which will work. And there is always a role for the dietitian and the registered dietitian who is well versed with this. And we have been looking for some one-size-fits solution. And here is one which maybe at least portion of that can be applied, where about the portion control or the diabetic-specific nutrition. Thank you, Professor.
Any questions there?
I think one or two questions can be allowed. The case study was very thought-provoking, and I think you must have had similar experiences.
Yeah.
In Kerala, we have a lot of people. I'm from Kottayam. Many people have take tapioca. So when we ask not to take tapioca, they'll tell dry tapioca can be taken. So what is your? I don't know whether you have such because most of the people, and now recently there is a publication from some and jackfruit can be taken in diabetes. So many people come daily and taking, because in our place if they have tell jackfruit, our one meal is with jackfruit. Because the kappa, chakka, purk and all like that, some preparations are there. So they'll take one jackfruit. And they'll tell in the paper I read that they can be taken.
So I agree that we get this also. See, human beings are same everywhere. Okay, so everybody doesn't get a Mac burger or this thing. If you go to North India, they will have mithais. If you go to Maharashtra, they will have say mango. You know, all my patients, whatever you listen, they will always have mango. Okay, so tapioca or jackfruit. The biggest thing in diabetes is about portion control. You can have everything and burn your calorie. The first rule is that don't say you can't have anything. You need to restrict for sure. Okay, so for example, if they want to have a jackfruit, then they should do a jogging for maybe half an hour and burn that little jackfruit, and they have to moderate it. And you can't do it every day. Maybe if you do it once a week or once in 15 days, that's good enough. So also remember that we have a biggest barrier in terms of a new doctor called Google Doctor. So people sit here and they Google out. Okay, Dr. Ravindran is here. He is now again taking a picture. He will in 1 minute Google out and he will give you answer of 5 papers which are there on tapioca. Okay, or I can see Arun Kumar right behind. He can give you answer in 2 minutes. Jyoti Dev will tell you immediately 20 papers on tapioca. But I am telling you, restrict and reduce the quantity. I think that is the bottom line. If you tell them don't, they actually become counterproductive. See, if I tell you that this place has 7 floors and on the 7th floor you are not allowed to go, what is your natural human response? I want to go and see what is there on the 7th. So don't tell your patient you can't do it. You say you can have a little of it. If you have more of it, nothing will happen. You will get an angioplasty. You will die 10 years earlier. You can have your jackfruit, no problem. You will go on insulin very quickly. You can have your tapioca, no problem. You can have your banana, tapioca, everything. Banana, they love a banana. It's not that you cannot. You can have 1 fruit per day in a diabetic. It's allowed. As long as you are able to portion your calorie, give them to a good dietitian who can handle them better like madam. Okay, so that somebody can at least get them to talk and restrict and reduce. It's all about restricting, reduction and portion control. If you are able to do that intelligently and once in a while. Okay, if you deprive them, if you try to be very regimented with them, you know what most patients do with their diet papers which they get, sheets which they get, they keep it home. Okay, whenever they get another patient, they say, oh, very good, you can take this paper, read it, this is what is important, this is has to be done, this has not to be done, this is do, this is that. That is what they do. So remember, this is what has to be done. So I think jackfruit has a glycemic index, it has a glycemic load, it can be used once in maybe 15 days if your patient insists. So is tapioca. It is not that there is no banned food in diabetes medicine. I can be very clear about it. If you look at type 1 diabetes recommendations, 5% of sugar is also allowed by every recommendatory body. And I am not joking when I say that, but if you tell it to your patient, they will start eating sugar every day. And the biggest problem with us is portion control and calorie control. So you need to do that. You have to be very conscious of that. So you need to be very intelligent when you negotiate. Okay, so don't go with the saying tomorrow that Dr. Joshi said you can have as much tapioca as you want and as much jackfruit as you want. Like, you know, sometimes I told you can have 2 slices of mango maybe once in 15 days. So, you know, next day newspaper said Dr. Joshi has allowed mangoes, it's good for diabetes. You know, so that you cannot do. It is basically you need to Reduce it, and if you eat any of these high carb foods, burn it with physical activity. Okay. I tell some of our patients that if you have a nice girlfriend, go for a brisk walk with her or a jog with her. Then they get all the energy to jog. You know, they can burn that jackfruit, you know. Okay, so that is what you need to do. You need to be very intelligent in partnering with all these things.
To my knowledge, I think between the ordinary tapioca and the dry tapioca, only the moisture is different, no? The moisture content is different. I think regarding that jackfruit issue, they say that there is a resistant starch in jackfruit which will not be released in your intestine. It will go to the colon and get released as short chain fatty acids. That is what they are claiming, that there are some other, the unripe banana which was steamed and taken, can be taken, but not the ripe banana like that. Maybe new papers are coming on that.
Yeah, regarding jackfruit, we have got patients who are reported postprandial blood sugars very low after eating jackfruit. That is not the ripe, it's not the fruit. Yeah, the raw one.
It has resistant starch.
As I said, I don't say no to it. But if you start having jackfruit every day, you will have a carb load, you will have a calorie load, even if it's a resistant starch, so you have to be a little cautious. So restriction and reduction is the order of the day. Don't deprive.
That is it. Anything in moderation. That is it. And with plenty of exercise. That is what we are lacking now. We do not have any time. And no sun exposure. We have to take the tablet for vitamin D. No sun exposure. That is the lifestyle that we are having.
Now you can add a meal replacer because people have picked it up way of life. Yes, there's a big difference between ripe and unripe. Very big difference.
Unripe is having the resistant starch. Even Amrit is in large quantity is not recommended, no? That is what. Everything in moderation.
Right.
Sir, I have a question. So my father, he always has a tea without sugar. So he's diabetic and he always has tea without sugar. But whenever we go for a family function, it will be a 2-3 day function. We'll have all the laddus and jalebis he has. So that week, it will be really high. After that, he'll come back, go for a walk, he'll get control. So what is the problem like?
So what is happening is he's doing binging because he's depriving himself of that sugar in the tea every day. And therefore, either you give him a sweetener with it or tell him to have 1 chammach of sugar and go for a walk after that tea. Because later on what happens is because he has deprived himself, when he sees that feast, you know, he goes for feasting. And this is a feasting tendency. So therefore the whole concept today, it's all about psychology. You need to counsel him that he cannot do that. Okay, and give him some meal replacer if he's overweight. Because you see, if you do that, he's actually disturbing his whole cycle. And you know, Dr. Jyoti Dev will put that 24 or 14-day machine, and he will show that all the glucose has gone during the feasting up, right? So obviously you need to tell him that let him have his sugar, but not the laddus, because those sugar which or the laddus which he has during the feasting can be very detrimental. His A1C will go up by 1.5%, and he will stun his endothelium of his heart, and he will get a heart issue. So don't spoil that. That's not worth it. If he wants to have during wedding time, maybe he can have a half a laddu, and then you can make him exercise in the wedding arena.
Sir, about artificial sweeteners, actually we had those first, but then I heard somewhere that artificial sweeteners are not.
No, they are
good.
quite okay. You can use sucralose and they are quite okay. Okay. They are only when you have a pregnant lady or a very young child, you have to be careful with sweeteners. Otherwise, by and large, they are okay, but don't make laddus out of them. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I think this reminds us about missing breakfast. Those who miss breakfast tend to take more snacks and eat more in the later hours of the day. So don't miss your breakfast. That itself will control your obesity. That is it.